Hi guys, welcome back. And this time around, I'm bringing you a two-part series on Ear Acoustic. I've done a couple of reviews for Ear Acoustic before, but I decided to redo them since I now have more models, and so it's probably going to be easier for me to kind of convey a general idea of what each one of these products is trying to achieve and what type of focus they are trying to obtain. Anyway, this first part will be on their dual DD IEMs. Ear Acoustic, for those of you that don't know, is a brand or is the revision of a brand called TFC, the Fragrant Zither, which was a brand that has been around the tri-fi world for a couple of years. I believe they started out in 2015 or 2014, something like that. Anyway, they've had a number of interesting IEMs over the years. Mainly their focus has always been single DDs. And Ear Acoustic is now a revamp of that idea. So far, they've launched single DDs, dual DDs. They've now released a planar, which I'm hoping to get soon and also review. And I'm probably assuming that in the future they will probably also have hybrids and so on. Anyway, what do I have here? I've got 4 of their dual DD IEMs. This first one, yeah, on the left hand side is the STA Pro Max. This one is the STA iHand Max. This is the STA iHand, and this is the STA-K. The STA-K is a collaboration with Keep Hi-Fi. Each one of them is, yes, a dual DD, a 10 and a 6mm, but each one uses different diaphragm materials, and thus, although the general tuning has always been kept, the difference in the diaphragm materials has then meant a different overall tonality and timbre and sound profile is then achieved. The Pro Max here uses an LCP 10mm driver plus a 6mm polymer driver. The STA High-End Max uses a 10mm DLC plus the same 6mm from before. The STA High-End, the normal one, uses a 10mm beryllium plus again that 6mm polymer, and the same thing applies here for the STA-K. In terms of prices, the K is $49.99, the STA high-end is $49.99 as well, the high-end Max is $89.99, and the Pro Max is $79.99. So these two are the most expensive. In terms of their value, when you consider what's offered, I mean, look, they all have these nice cases. They all bring a decent cable, especially these models here. The collaboration version with Keep Hi-Fi is a little bit lacking in that department. So I would say that if what you like or what you are looking for is this type of configuration here, which is the beryllium driver plus the polymer which the STA-K uses, and they sound exactly the same, they graph the same, they cost the same, this is the better value because it brings a case, brings a nicer cable. I don't dislike the cable here of the K, I will be honest, but I don't know, the cable there on the high end just looks a little bit nicer. In terms of the actual shell, this is a full resin, well, full resin, no, my apology, it's a resin shell, resin plastic shell with a metal faceplate, like they've also used here on the high end. It's the same thing actually. If you listen carefully, see, and metal, okay, and now the metal, see, different. So they both use that same type of metal faceplate with that embossed format here, which then distinguishes the IEMs. I would actually like, well, I'll be honest, I would have liked if Ear Acoustic would actually, just put a little thing on the actual IEM shell stating which model it is, because it can get a little bit confusing at times. But anyway, that's just a little, it's not even a nitpick, it's just a suggestion. Okay, let's jump straight into it, because this is what we basically want to know, is what they all sound like. Okay, the darkest sounding one, yeah, out of all of them, and by darkest sounding, it means that it's the one that has the mids to upper mids, and the upper mids and the treble, the most, let's say, laid back is the Pro Max. I think that's probably down to the fact that they're using a 10mm LCP driver, and LCP are usually known for that, let's say, more warmer tonality. The more alive sounding, the one that has the most, let's say, energy, but still balanced with the bass that it has, is the high-end Max, because again of that driver that they used, which in this case is a DLC, and so the overall tonality is a more open type of sound. So this one, the Pro Max, will probably be for those that are a little bit adverse to higher frequencies. This one will be for those that like the higher frequencies. Okay. As for the standard high end and the K, they both have a beryllium driver, and beryllium drivers have a tendency of being a little bit brighter than usual. And when I compare them, well, and when I compare these, I'm just going to, keep in mind, they sound the same. They are the same thing. So when I compare this, for example, to the rest, yes, they will be a little bit more lively sounding than the Pro Max, but that does bring, or does come with a slight cost, which is, it's not that it's a huge difference in terms of lack of polish, or rather, let me see if I can put this in a different manner. If you are looking for a highly balanced and highly audiophile correct sound, this is not what we have here. What we have here is fun sounding IEMs, period. These IEMs are supposed to be fun and engaging and entertaining IEMs to listen to. These are not IEMs which are, let's say, lacking life. None of them. Okay, all of them have a phenomenal bass and mid presentation, all of them. Okay, it's then how the balance of the mids, upper mids and treble then will change the final, let's say, profile of the IM. But they all have a phenomenal bass, which is thick, engaging. Yes, you will notice that the bass here on the high-end Max is slightly cleaner than the rest because of the fact that it has a DLC driver, and that extra energy in the upper mids and treble does then clean up the bass slightly, while on the Pro Max and on the high-end you notice that the bass is just a little bit more, I wouldn't say slower, it's just a little bit more warmer. I think it's probably the best word to use. But the reality is, it's always a fun and an entertaining bass. It's always a bass that's well executed, resolves well, doesn't really have any trouble with complex passages. It does everything that I threw at it phenomenally well. Obviously, it felt more at home with music which is more lively. So with rock, for example, which is something I don't listen to very much, the Pro Max excelled there. With EDM, any one of them was entertaining. It's bass is definitely where these all shine, bass and mids. Okay, now going back here to the high end, where the high end, you will notice the difference between the high end and, for example, the Pro and the Pro Max and the high end Max, is that the mids and the highs become perhaps a little more unpolished quicker. Okay, it's not a huge thing, it's not a deal breaker, and I mean, we are talking $49, so let's not start nitpicking tremendously and wanting. Okay, but it is what it is. It's like that. Is it bad? No, it's not bad. Did it bug me in any manner? No, it didn't bug me in any manner. Is it still entertaining? Hell yes, it's still entertaining. I think that the main thing to take away here is this costs $49, this costs $79, so $50 and $80. Is the $30 justified here? Is the $40 justified here? Ultimately, only you can tell by the budget, or by how much money you are willing to spend. What do I personally like? What is the one that or which are the ones that I personally like, or how do I personally rate them? First, second, third. That's how I personally put them. Not because this is the most expensive, but it's because the way the sound comes across, it ticks the right boxes in the manners that I like. So I like, and I look at timbre and tonality. This has got the best timbre and tonality, the most correct sounding timbre and tonality. in terms of bass, but they all satisfy my criteria. In terms of mids, they all satisfy my criteria. But then this excels slightly over the other two because the female vocals are a little bit more lively, so it comes out on top there. In terms of fatigue and not having fatigue in the listening, this one is the one that wins. Not that this one in any way is fatiguing, no, but this one, because of the way that it's been tuned, it will be the one that you will keep in your ears for longer periods of time. Okay. As for the standard high end or the STA-K, they will be the ones that, for those that the $50 is already the limit and they cannot go above that, then these will be fine and they will do a good job. They will do a fantastic job. Now, and again, I repeat, don't go or don't think that by getting these IEMs, you are going to get the type of sound that you get from something like, hell, let me see. Let me find you, let's say a Castor, the Harman tuned version, if that's what you like, the KZ Castor. No, this is superior to that. It is definitely hell superior to that. Compared to the KZ, the normal bass version of the Castor, or compared to the Vaders, although that's a three driver, but the Castors. Yes, the Castor is very nicely tuned. The Castor, has got those switches which enable it to have that extra, let's say, adjustability factor. But is the Castor a better IEM than the Ear Acoustics? No, it's not a better IEM than the Ear Acoustics. It offers more versatility and has the price going for it. But in terms of fun and musicality, the Ear Acoustic IEMs are, for me and in my opinion, edging out the KZs. And guys, trust me, that I like KZ and I value their products when it has to be valued and so on. But this is a better product. It is a more entertaining product to listen to than the KZs. I think the main thing that you will notice when you listen to something like these IEMs here, and I'm going to focus more here on the standard high end and the K, because they are closer to the price of the Vader and to the Castor, is that the Castor sounds, and this only happens when obviously you start comparing several songs and so on, but the Castor can sound at times, it can sound castrated. And what do I mean by that? It sounds that you feel that the sound has been processed, okay, while here you're getting the sound as it is. Okay, there's very minimal or very little in the terms of the internal, let's say, crossover networks that they've used here. So it's a very simple network which divides the two drivers. While in the Castor there's a more complex crossover network which actually enables the KZ to have that perfect, let's say, graphic, which when you look at the graphics of the Ear Acoustic stuff, they look fine, but they don't look, let's say, as appealing as we all, or the majority of us now want. We all want this perfect looking graph, and the reality is this: graphs are an ability for us to be able to kind of get a perception of how the sound will be, but they are not the end all tell all of the reality. And I'm not wanting to sound like a broken record. If there's one thing that I can confidently say now, after having listened to several of the products from Ear Acoustic and having spent more time with several of their products, not only these dual DDs but also the single DDs, which I'll do in the second review, is that they are highly musical. That's the truth. They are very, very musical. They are IEMs which are very easy to listen to, very entertaining listening to. It's just a very pleasant way of listening to music. That's the best way I can put it. Okay. Anyway, guys, like I was saying, in terms of bass and mids, they all are phenomenal. It's then there's just the upper mids and treble which changes their overall, focus, and the overall final sound comes out of them. As I've mentioned as well, this is my favorite. Then so the high end max, then the Pro Max, and then the regular high end and the STA-K. I've given the reasons why I like them in that particular order. Technically, they all are decently capable. I think probably the one that will be more, let's say, value for money technically wise will probably be the standard high end and the K, because of the difference in price that exists. So these two, the Technicalities, are almost on par with these two. I would even say that the Technicalities overall, yeah, of the high end and of the K, are perhaps even slightly superior to the Pro Max because of the extra energy that they have. Things like soundstage and imaging can be a little bit better. So I would say that these two, for example, would do the job of a gaming IM pretty decently. They would do that job quite well, and that's basically in a nutshell everything I need to say about these IMs. There's really not much more. I hope I was able to um, kind of give a general idea of where they stand and what type of sound they have. I'll just quickly show you the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Okay, I start you off here straight away with the Pro Max. As I mentioned in the review, bass is not the issue. It's got a nice big bass. I mean, we're talking about the bass gain of roughly 10 dBs. The pinna gain into the mids is about 8, 7.5, 8, so a little bit less. The focus definitely is on the lower frequencies. So in terms of bass and mids, lower mids and mids, very nice. This whole part of the spectrum in the Pro Max is very nice. I very much enjoy this. Again, my personal taste. It will not be an IM, as I mentioned as well, that will be fatiguing for long listening sessions because of this extra warmth that it conveys. Nice extension past 10K, really nice sounding IM. Honestly, there's really nothing that I can falter on it. The one that I'm going to be putting up now next, comparing to it, is the high-end Max. So it uses, instead of the LCP, it uses DLC drivers. And that extra amount of energy that you get here, between 2 and 8K roughly, you notice it straight away, and it especially cleans up and makes female vocals come across just a little bit more realistic and more engaging and more balanced out overall. So it will be an IM that will be probably more focused for those that like female vocals, that like more technicalities, more detail, more micro details, and so on and so forth, while the first one will offer a more organic, more kind of old school type of sound. Although the truth be told, they all have more this organic type of old school sound and tonality and presentation overall. And then let me just quickly take these two away, and then let me show you the standard STA I-hand, okay, and the STA-K. As you can see, they are the same IM, they sound the same, they graph the same, they are the same. What can we take away here from, for example, the high end compared to the high end Max? The Max definitely has more detail up top, so that second driver is definitely more prominent, it's more there, while on the standard high end it's perhaps been subdued on purpose because of that beryllium driver, so not to make things overly forward or overly bright. So this part here above, let's say 5K, excuse me, you notice that it's a little bit more laid back as compared to the high-end Max. As compared to the Pro Max, it's more energetic. Yes, it's got basically the same sort of energy that you have up top as the Pro Max, but this area here of the mids to upper mids and then treble, it's got a little bit more energy, just a little bit extra engagement. So maybe the middle ground, you could say that the high end is maybe the middle ground between the Pro Max and the high end Max, as you can see by the three graphs now together. And that's it, guys. I hope, like I said before, I hope I was able to give some clarity with regards to these dual DD IEMs from Ear Acoustic. And yeah, any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.